I don't have a UFO story, but
Oh, good.
I have probably the wildest Bigfoot story I've ever heard.
Cool.
So I'll go ahead and tell you all about it.
Awesome.
So back in 2019, I moved to Redding, California, which is like way north California. It's pretty much as north as you can get before you get to Oregon, right? So
Hmm.
we're about like maybe 25 miles from Mount Shasta. And I was working at this remodeling company, and it's super wilderness up here, so a lot of great camping, really nice lakes. And anyhow, I was telling, I hadn't been working for that company very long, and I was telling a coworker, like, oh, where's some good spots to go camping, fishing. And there was another coworker that was near us working on a computer, and she was listening to us, and I go ahead and I make the joke. I go, oh yeah, but is it safe? I don't want to get attacked by Bigfoot, joking.
Hmm.
And a lot of people up here kind of roll their eyes at any kind of Bigfoot talk, and that's pretty much what I got, and then I just shrugged it off. And then later, like a day later, this other coworker comes up to me, and she goes, hey, so you believe in Bigfoot? And I go, oh, I really don't know. It's just an internet thing, right?
Mm.
And she goes, well, I got a story for you. So she proceeds to tell me about how I want to say back either in 2018 or early 2019, that she was living in Crescent City. So that's on the coast. And her dad, so she's living there with her mom and sister, and her dad lives about 2 hours north in Oregon, which is Grants Pass. And the only way you can get there is on Highway 199, which is like straight through the wilderness,
Hmm.
right? And it's like a 2 hour drive. So her dad ends up passing away, and the services are going to be held up there. So her and her sister and her mom and her aunt as well, they make the trip from the coast, driving inland into Oregon, and they go to the funeral services. They do all that, and then on the way back, so they're in separate vehicles, and the mom is driving her ex-husband who had passed, driving his white Escalade. So I guess she left it to him or something. And on the way back, she's driving, with her sister, so the aunt, I guess you'll say. And it's you're driving like hillsides along these ravines and such. You're out in the wilderness, and it's easy to get separated if you're driving in a group, because some people are going faster than others, and so the rest of the party got separated, and this is after the services. So anyhow, my coworker, she says that she comes around a corner, and she doesn't see the mom and them, and so they must have sped up, so she's not sure how far ahead that they are. And then she comes around the corner, and then she sees smoke and such, and the vehicle went off the road,
Hmm.
and like it broke through like through the railing, and it's like caught like in between trees and
Hmm.
such. And so everybody's freaking out. So they go there, and my friend, her husband, just the whole party, everybody gets out to try and help them. And they're unconscious, and yeah, ambulance show up, and the highway patrol, everybody shows up, pretty darn quick, because they're not too far away from Grants Pass, is what it sounds like. And they're pulling the vehicle up, and they get the mom and the aunt up. And when the mom comes to, and she's an older woman, she's like almost 70, like 68 or something. When she comes to, she's screaming, and they're from the Philippines. And so she's screaming like in Tagalog, like, oh, screaming in Tagalog. And, the daughter, my coworker, is trying to calm her down. And then she starts saying, oh, I saw a monster. I saw a monster.
Whoa.
And, like the paramedics and everybody is like trying to get the oxygen on her and everything. And they're like, what? Like she's freaking out and they're trying to calm her down. And the daughter's just like, oh my God. And they sedate her and everything. Thankfully, the mom was okay. She just, they're just bruised up,
Right.
And anyhow, so once they get to the hospital and, everybody's calmed down, the mom's doing okay. Uh, my coworker, she's there with her husband and, pretty much all the family, or whomever could fit in the room. They're talking to the mom, and she says, that she came around the corner and that the aunt was like kind of sleeping. And as she came around the corner, she saw this giant monster in the road. And that it was like a deer in the headlights type situation. And this was during the day. This is not like in the middle of the night, but it is kind of shady,
Mm-hmm.
when you're driving through the mountains. And she said that it was huge, that it was at least like 8 or 9 feet tall, and that it looked like a giant man, but she kept calling it a monster. And she said that it looked like a giant man and that you could see its face. And that my friend says, you mean a Bigfoot? Or my coworker says, you mean a Bigfoot, to the mom. And the mom doesn't know what a Bigfoot is.
Right.
She's an elderly woman. She's not into that kind of stuff. And she's like, what? And so she says, well, it looked like a giant man, like it had a man's face. And but it looked like it had, like, kind of like its hair was tied in a ponytail. And she said that it was as wide as the vehicle, just about, and they're driving an Escalade SUV. And she said that it was swaying kind of like it was, preparing to dodge the vehicle, but didn't know which way to go. And she was just like caught
Mm.
in herself driving, we're just kind of like caught in the fright of seeing it. And she hit it, boom. And that's what caused her to veer off and break through the side rails and go off the road. And so my coworker, gets out her phone and shows her this, like pictures on Google of, Sasquatch. And she goes, that's it. That's what I saw.
Hmm.
And she says, yeah, even down to uh where like you could see the bare feet, there's no hair on the feet. It's just like the hair stops, but she said it was looked just like that. Just the hairiest, tallest man, and that its shoulders were so wide and it was just enormous. And she says that's what she hit. And so I was just blown away. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. And of course I was just like, oh, like I'm skeptical too,
Hmm.
right? I'm just like, I'm new up here, maybe somebody's pulling my leg,
Right.
and but she swears by it. She's like, yeah, her mom's okay, all of that. And so then later, like a few days later, like her husband comes into the work, and she's in the middle of a meeting. And so, I just, I introduced myself and then I asked him about it, and he goes, oh, dude, he goes, it is true. He goes, everybody was so freaked out after when, they realized that it was a Bigfoot, you know, and, uh, and you were just going on, saying, yeah, it's true, it's unbelievable, we can't believe it, and I was just like, wow, it was just something pretty amazing. But here's one little part that is like a supernatural aspect to it, right?
Mm.
So, my coworker, her dad who had passed away, he prized this white Escalade SUV, right? This is the one that was in the accident that hit the Bigfoot. So his nephew, uh, like a week or two later after the funeral and all the Bigfoot business. He doesn't even know about the Bigfoot business, the nephew. He calls
Hmm.
my coworker And he says, I've had the wildest dream. He goes, and I had to call you about it. And so she's like, okay, well, what happened? So he says that he had a dream that her dad, the one who passed away, uh, came to him on a white horse and was saying, they killed my horse. They killed my horse.
Whoa.
And he knows nothing about the accident. He just
Whoa.
knows that his uncle had died.
Right.
And she goes, "Are you serious?" And so uh, the nephew didn't know that the uncle used to joke amongst his immediate family, with the daughter and the ex-mom and so on, and that he called his white Escalade his stallion.
Dang.
And so and
Dang.
so I thought that was pretty crazy that, like, like from beyond the grave, the uncle reached out to the nephew to let him know what had happened. And she, of course, she told the nephew or her cousin the Bigfoot story, and he was just blown away too. But I was like, wow, it's
Holy
like
crap.
so crazy.
That's amazing. What a story. So you're saying they hit the monster?
Yeah, they
And
hit the Bigfoot.
was
Like
there
that's what caused her to go off the road.
was there anything
And
like on the car?
one other thing, uh when so the vehicle gets towed and gets impounded and all that
Hmm.
business, right? So when they went to go pick it up, she was like, yeah, it looked like they hit a tree. But when they went to help the mom and see if they're okay, the vehicle was not impacted directly in the front, on the grill, by a tree. It was wedged between trees. And so they're like, well, okay, then what made this? And of course, when they, law enforcement, what are they going to say? When they tell the law enforcement, well, my mom says I hit a Bigfoot, they just, like, again, everybody rolls their eyes and dismisses
Wow.
it. And and the cops, all they could say was like, your mom probably fell asleep at the wheel,
Right.
and so my coworker is just like, well, what do you do? You're left with this story and nobody seems to care.
Imagine if there was hair left behind on the car.
I know, right? That's what I said too. I go, did you guys check for hair? They go, no, it didn't occur to them, for anything. And the vehicle ended up getting salvaged, and so that, everything just gets wrapped up so neatly and taken away,
Right,
because
right.
it's a total.
That's wild.
And all they're left with is her mom telling this traumatizing story.
Do you have a history of talking about Bigfoot?
Do I have a history about talking
Yeah.
about Bigfoot?
Like before, like before all of this, like were you interested in Bigfoot? Do you think of it often?
No, no, not at all. In fact, you see, like, those whatever pops on the History Channel,
Right.
and I might, watch it, but I'm not into it. I never believed it was true, really. I just go, oh, maybe there's a gorilla out there or something.
Right.
But since I heard this story, I was just like, wow, this is from, you know, uh, this is a remodeling business. These pretty, pretty serious, clean cut people here,
Hmm.
and we're all are in our, late 40s. So it's like, it just didn't seem, logical to be start, telling tall tales.
So, like,
And
I
that's
just
how
want to add
fast it is.
the to make it weirder than to me is that you not being like a Bigfoot enthusiast, randomly making a Bigfoot comment to a coworker who has a Bigfoot story that's as wild as that one.
Well, the only reason why I made that was because, again, this is like, how they say, like, Northern California and
Right.
Oregon. I was just trying to make, a little, icebreaker joke
Right.
amongst the coworkers.
And little did you know.
Yeah, really. And and the joke didn't even go over well because
Dang
I
it.
guess they must hear it up here so often that, again, all I got was rolled eyes, and I'm just like, okay, is this Mike
Wow.
on?
Wow. That is an incredible story. Wow. Thank you for calling and sharing that.
Thank you for having me on, guys.
Of course. Of course. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too. Bye bye.